in Melbourne. We create many desserts like mini cupcakes and different cakes, and we get asked all the time if we can teach in person, but we're not currently offering that. But instead we've decided to open up a YouTube channel with lots of tutorials on lots of different sweet bakes that you can create at home. Today I'll be teaching you how to properly level the cake so you get a nice smooth surface, and how to ganache so the cake is ready for decoration. The things you'll need is a cake of your choice. Today we have a chocolate mud cake. Then you'll need a scraper of your choice. We have a plastic one in the kitchen today, that's my favourite scraper. We have an offset spatula. This is just for ease of putting the ganache on the cake. These tools are just going to make your life so much easier and things you really can't go without. Then you also need some Glad Go-Between, which is a freezer film. We're just going to wrap our cake board in that just so that you can get it nice and easy off the top of the cake once we're finished, and some sticky tape to stick that go-between onto the cake board. Then we've got some cake boards, so we've got a larger one just for the cake to sit on. This isn't the proper board, this is just for ganaching. And then we've got two boards. You need to make sure the two thin cardboards are the exact same size as your cake, so this is a 7-inch round. Then we've got our turntable, just to make it easier when we're ganaching. This is something you really can't live without during cakes, because you get that beautiful, nice and smooth surface because you don't have any lines as you're pulling. Then we've got some chocolate ganache. We don't share our recipes here, but there is plenty of recipes online where you can find this. And we've got our cake leveler. So the one we've got today is from Bake Boss. It's a cake craft leveler. This is a quite good quality one. There is different levels of quality. If you can afford this, we definitely recommend. It's nice and sharp and makes it really easy. We'll pop the links for everything in the description below. So let's get started. Firstly, I'm just going to pop out of the way the cake boards. We're going to make room to level our cake. So we're going to grab our leveler and our cake, we'll put that in the middle. So with the leveler, you just want to have a look down at your cake and see exactly what height it is. So we've left this on number 3, which is 1.5 inches. So once we cut the cake, we can cut this into 3 layers. So all you do is slowly guide it through the cake, and because it's so sharp, it will just cut straight through. So as you can see, it's a nice, smooth, even layer. So just going to place that back again and do another layer. And we want to have 3 layers out of this cake, so I'll just put that one to the side. So we want to go through the top, and then we can adjust to a lower setting if we have to, just to make sure it's nice and smooth. So you can put that aside. You can either make cake pops or just snack on that little piece of cake if you like to. So we're just going to lower this down, so all you have to do is twist the knob and we'll lower it down to 2.5. Just so we can get a nice flat top and guide it through the cake. Because it is so sharp, it'll just cut really smoothly. There we go. So now we've got 3 even layers of cake, all stacked up and ready for ganaching. So we can put our leveler out the way, and we'll take our turntable with our setup board, and we'll put some tape down. We'll just flip that over and make a little double-sided tape, and stick that on the baseboard. And we'll put our first 7-inch round board down on top of that. And just press down and make sure it's stuck. So now we're just going to take our spatula and get our ganache. We want to make sure the ganache is a peanut butter consistency. So not too runny, not too thick. So something like that. This is the best type of consistency. So if your ganache is too firm, you'll have to melt it a little bit in the microwave, maybe just 10 seconds at a time, until you get that right consistency, nice and thick. Sort of like peanut butter and Nutella. And once you've got that consistency, it's perfect for ganaching. So we'll just put a tiny bit on the baseboard to stick the bottom layer of cake. And we'll stick a layer on there. And just make sure you center that. Perfect. Now we're going to go in with a nice layer of ganache. Once you've got a smooth layer with your spatula, you're just going to add on the next layer of cake. You can substitute this for white chocolate ganache or any topping of your choice. You could use a strawberry, even a lemon, curd, anything you like. Today we're just using the chocolate. So depending on what you prefer, you can add any layer of ganache size that you like. We're just going for pretty thin layers today. We do have so much chocolate going on, we don't want it too overpowering. So you just flip over the top, and you always put the base of the cake as the top so it's nice and smooth. And we're just going to take our spatula and quickly run it around, just smooth off any of that extra filling that's coming out. as you turn the turntable. We'll just wipe that off. And now this one can either go in the fridge for half an hour, or if you have a lot of time on your hands, you can leave this at room temperature for 48 hours, even 24, and it will set up itself depending on the heat in the room. But we're going to pop it in the fridge and we'll be back. So I've just taken it out of the fridge. We've had it in for 20 minutes, and you can just judge by feeling and rocking it how firm it is. It's nice and firm and set up, so that's enough for us today because it's nice and cold in Melbourne today. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our 7-inch cake board and get some go-between. You just need a small piece. Pull off a rough piece. So put the silver facing down, and then we're just going to pull the go-between really tight against the cake board and put some sticky tape. And we're going to go all the way around until the board is secured with the go-between on the other side. Now that we've got our board fully covered, you can see on this side where the silver is, it's nice and smooth, and it's just going to stop the ganache from sticking to the board. So that at the end, once it's ganache, we can just lift that straight off. So we're going to grab our cake and get some ganache on our spatula. And we're just going to do a light coat on the top before we place our board on the top. So just going to do a rough top because we are going to put the board on top. So this board's going to create a lid for our cake so we can get beautiful smooth sides. So you're going to center that and push it down so the ganache can smooth out and stick to the board. I'm just going to go around and scrape off that extra ganache with the scraper that might be peeking out from the top. We'll wipe that off. And then you're just going to go around with your scraper and just double check when you hit the cake that it's nice and even. So the top board and the bottom board are hitting at the exact same time. And you want to get down low and make sure there's a gap between your boards. So as you can see here, the cake's peeking out a little bit. So that's when you're going to take your knife and just lightly trim off any extra that's sticking out above that board. Just go back in and make sure there's a gap between the two boards. Perfect. So now you can go right around touching both boards and have a smooth surface. So just make sure your lid's stuck. And you're going to get some ganache on your spatula and start laying it on the cake. So you just want to be gentle and make sure you don't move that lid. You're just going to go with your spatula and place on a lot of ganache because you're going to scrape this all back, so any excess is fine. So you want to have excess to make sure we can get a nice smooth surface the first time. Perfect. So now that we've got lots of ganache on the cake, we can take our spatula and we're going to put it at a 90-degree angle straight up against those two boards and slowly turn the turntable as you've got the spatula nice and firmly in your hand, and remove any excess and wipe that back into your bowl. We're just going to keep doing this until we get all the excess off and a nice smooth sides to our cake. So if there's any spots like here where you can see there's a little bit missing, we're just going to go in and take a tiny bit more ganache just to make sure it's nice and smooth. Just fill that in and then we'll go back and scrape again. Perfect. So you don't want to play with it too much because it can fix over the little bits of it, bumps and edges at the end. But then we're just going to grab our scraper and put it on the top of the lid where that excess ganache is all built up. And just turn the turntable as you're going, just to get that extra ganache and put that in the bowl. Now we're going to put this in the fridge. We're going to put it in for about half an hour, but as I said before, you have to check just depending on your weather how firm it is. We want to make sure this is nice and solid, all firmed up. Alternatively, if you have time, you can leave it out at room temperature for 24 hours, but today we're going to be putting it in the fridge. So now that we've had the cake that's been ganached in the fridge for 30 minutes, we're just ready to take off the lid and fix up the top and then we'll be ready. So we're just going to pull in the middle, just to get my fingers under there, and then I'm going to slowly lift off the lid. So as you can see, it didn't stick barely at all. And then now we're just going to fix up that rib and then we'll be ready to go. So I've got a nice little sharp knife here And we're just going to turn a turntable and slowly take off that top edge and remove that excess ganache. So we just want to make this nice and level with the cake. So now that we've got that edge cleaned up, there's just a few little gaps, and you're just going to take a bit of that firm ganache and fill the holes. And we're just going to run the spatula over to smooth out that top. And if you have to, just go around the edge to pull that right to the top, just so that excess is facing the top, and scrape that in. Okay, so now that you've got sharp corners, this is ready to firm up again, so we just need the top to firm up a little bit. So I'm going to pop it back in the fridge for 10 minutes, get it nice and firm, and then you can either add a drip on it and some chocolates, or if you want to leave it, come back to room temperature after it's set in the fridge and it's ready for fondant covering. So that's how we do our leveling of our cakes and our basic ganaching. This is just a quick finish that we've done today just because we will be covering it in chocolates later on. But if you're needing to cover it in fondant for a wedding cake, you can spend a lot more time perfecting it and making sure it's nice and smooth. This is definitely a great base because it's nice and firm, especially in the heat. You can up your ratio of chocolate, and this is a perfect base, a lot more stable than buttercream, for going under fondant or just even on its own. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.